sword fighting, swashbuckling. It's one of the main foundations of stage combat. And today, you get to learn the basics. Ninja! Ha ha! Ha! Hoo! Ha! 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 Ya! Ha! Ha! Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, are you okay? Yeah, man, do you think it's okay to get going with this?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Like even after the hospital?
I'm okay.
Okay, you don't need to be tough for me. I mean, I'm just asking, are you okay, you know? So,
You stabbed me!
Hi, my name is Jeff Colangelo, and I'm a DFW-based fight choreographer.
And I'm Jonah Gutierrez. I'm the Fight Ninja.
And today, we're going to be teaching you how to swashbuckle.
Ow.
It's not actually sharp. Now, for today's lesson, we're going to be working with a Hollywood single sword. Now, we recognize not many people happen to have a single sword ready on hand, which is why you can use other materials.
Like this. This is just a dowel rod. It's a wooden stick that you get at Home Depot or Lowe's. You can get a couple for a few dollars. There's a 1/4 inch thick. The reason why we recommend that size is because it's less likely to break under pressure and it doesn't bend while you're using it.
You can also improvise if you have to. Any long stick-like instrument that's fairly light and easy on your hands is good to use. Just make sure when you're practicing that you aren't hitting anything in your house and you're making sure that there's plenty of room around you. If all else fails, if you can't even find a stick, 2 fingers will do the job to at least practice your positioning.
If you are going to borrow a broom or a mop, be sure to take the bottom off and ask your parents or any family members, anyone in the household, before you take that tool apart.
When we're talking about swords, we first want to understand the parts of a sword. A sword comes in 3 parts. It has its first part, the tip, which is also known as the foible. This is the weak part of the blade, but it's also the sharpest. It's called the foible because it's nice and weak, and if you try to block with it, you're probably going to break the blade. This section is known as the mid blade, it's the middle of the blade. And then this final section is known as the fort, or the strong part of the blade. This part of the blade is meant for blocking, but it's not really very sharp, so don't use it to attack. This is known as our cross guard, and this back part is called the pommel. The pommel is called that because it's what you use to actually pommel someone or hit somebody. And finally, you have your handle. What's very important when you're trying to hold your sword, make sure that you put your thumb sticking out at the very bottom. This little thumb pointer is going to help you when you need to get into things like casting or pointing your blade.
To use a dowel rod as a sword, you're going to want to measure it against your body. Start by putting the dowel rod to your left shoulder if your right hand is your dominant hand. Then, grab from the farthest point in the sword. You should be grabbing the last 1/4 of the sword.
The first thing we're going to learn about sword fighting is how to do the blocks. We're going to learn what's called the house block. When you finish this section of blocks, you'll make what looks like a house. And there's our roof. So, let's start with number 1. Block number 1 comes directly out of the sword sheath and blocks your lower area. I also call this the watch block. Notice that my blade is straight up and down, so I'm blocking properly, and I'm blocking my left leg. Then, block number 2, I bring it around to the other side of my body, still straight up and down, making sure that I'm blocking my lower body. Block number 3, I raise up, and I block my right arm. Notice that I'm not raising it up too high. This will be very important when I start to work together with a partner. Instead, I'm just simply keeping everything like this. Then, block number 4, I bring it around to the other side of my body and block my mid-arm. Finally, block number 5, I raise up above my head with a slight slant. Really think about this roof that you're trying to create being nice and slanted like Mediterranean architecture versus Gothic architecture. Then, your final block will be block 5A, the Canadian block. It's a joke because Canadians say A at the end of, you get it. Anyways, this is 5A. Let's go through each of those blocks, one after the other. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5A. Now it's very important to note that there are two types of hand positions before we start getting into our cuts. The first hand position is called pronated. The next hand position is called supinated. Supinated is because I'm like holding a bowl of soup, and pronated because I'm not holding a bowl of soup anymore. When I'm dealing with the sword, this is very useful to differentiate the types of cuts that we're doing. When you cut, you want to make sure that you start with your pronated cuts. That's going to be from your left side to your right. When I cut, I'm going to practice casting my energy directly in front. Notice that I'm pointing my blade like so. This is my high pronated cut and my low pronated cut. Then I want to look at doing my supinated cut. That's when I hold my blade in a supinated hand position and I practice pointing forward. This is my high position. This is my low position. Notice that I'm pointing the blade each time using my thumb as a guide. Finally, our last cut is going to be the high cut. We're going to go into a pronated position, making sure that we don't hit the ceiling, and we're just simply going to, nice and easily, point directly in front of us. To really avoid hitting your ceiling, make sure that you aren't doing a long arc, but instead, you're starting from your shoulder and just simply pointing up and above an imaginary partner's head.
Now, unfortunately, our sound outside is not very good, so you'll be listening to a voiceover instead. Now, the first thing you want to start doing with a partner, to stay safe, is make sure that you measure your distance. The way we measure our distance for stage combat is to check the fort with the foible, or the base, to the tip of the sword. You'll notice us doing some distancing right here. You really want to avoid getting very close, because that's when accidents start to happen. Once you've established distance with your partner, it's very important to start thinking about how you want to go about working on this exercise. Everything that we're about to do, we want to hit our swords very lightly. We're doing something called casting here, where we shoot our energy past our partner rather than into their sword. It's very important that we're not trying to hit each other hard during these exercises, or else we'll run the risk of hurting each other. The distancing helps make sure that we won't actually hit each other, but once again, hitting hard will guarantee a bad hit if we make a mistake. On to the exercise. Now you'll notice we're going to do this very slowly. My partner, Jonah, blocks 1. Then I do a supinated attack to his fort. Then my partner blocks 2, and I go around to a supinated attack to his other leg. Then I aim for his arm as he blocks 3, then for his arm again at block 4. Finally, I go for the top of his head for block 5 and 5A. Notice my blade never crosses into his face at any point, and I'm also making sure to aim right where the fort is every single time. See how I go around him rather than through his face? That's very important. Once you get a chance to practice, make sure your partner gets a chance to practice as well. When it's your turn to block, you block first, your partner attacks. That's to 1, then 2, then a 3, then a 4, and then once again to the 5. You notice that our targets are about mid-thigh, mid-thigh, mid-bicep, mid-bicep, and then finally top of head, top of head. Stay consistent with your targets. Make sure that you practice slowly.
So, there you have it. You've learned the basics of swashbuckling. You've learned how to block, and you've learned how to attack, and you've also learned the parts of the sword.
Now that's just the tip of the iceberg. If you want to see more content on swashbuckling, check out our YouTube channel, Prism Movement.
And please make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, ask what you want to see out of swashbuckling, or if you want to see any other material.
Until next time.
Wait, hold on.